Imagine this: a late-night post from the president's own social media account. A video that starts innocently enough about voter fraud, but ends with a shocking, dehumanizing twist. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama depicted as apes straight out of the ugliest chapters of racist history, but ends with a shocking, dehumanizing twist. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama depicted as apes straight out of the ugliest chapters of racist history. And this happens during Black History Month. But here's what makes it even more explosive. Black conservatives, longtime allies of Donald Trump, are now publicly calling it indefensible and grappling with the fallout. Are now publicly calling it indefensible and grappling with the fallout. Is this a simple staffer slip-up, or does it reveal deeper cracks in Trump's coalition? Stick around as we dive into the controversy that's shaking up the world of Trump-aligned black conservatism on DT News. Good evening, folks, and welcome to DT News, where we break down the stories that matter with unflinching honesty and in-depth analysis. Tonight, we're zeroing in on a scandal that's rippling through political circles, exposing tensions within the Republican Party, and specifically among black conservatives who have thrown their support behind President Donald Trump. It's a story that begins with a late-night social media post, spirals into widespread outrage, and forces some of Trump's staunchest allies to issue rare public rebukes. We're talking about a video shared on the president's platform that included a blatantly racist animation portraying former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama with the bodies of apes, a trope that's been used for centuries to demean and dehumanize black people. This didn't just happen in some obscure corner of the internet. It came from the highest office. And even though it was quickly deleted, the damage was done, sparking debates about accountability, representation, and the fine line between loyalty and principle. Let's unpack this step by step, starting from the moment the video hit the feeds late Thursday night. It was 11:44 p.m. Eastern Time when the post went live on Trump's account, and at first glance, it seemed like just another rant on voter fraud, a topic the president has hammered on relentlessly since his days in office. But as the video progressed, it took a dark turn. Suddenly, without any context or explanation, the faces of the Obamas appeared superimposed on ape bodies, with the classic tune, "The Lion Sleeps Tonight," playing in the background, a song from The Lion King. But in this context, it felt like a cruel punchline. The clip then snapped back to election conspiracy footage, leaving viewers stunned. Social media erupted almost immediately, with users calling it out as racist, and by Friday morning, the backlash had snowballed into a full-blown controversy. The NAACP didn't mince words. Their national president released a statement, labeling the video as blatantly racist, disgusting, and utterly despicable. And this all unfolding during Black History Month, a time meant to celebrate achievements. Now the White House's response? They claimed it was posted in error by a staffer and deleted it around noon on Friday. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tried to downplay it, describing the clip as an internet meme video and urging everyone to stop the fake outrage. But as the day wore on, a White House official admitted the error. President Trump himself addressed the issue, saying he hadn't seen the entire video before it was shared. He suggested he wouldn't apologize because it wasn't his mistake. When pressed on whether he'd condemn the racist portion, he said, "Of course I do," but he doubled down on not seeing the offensive end. No apology forthcoming. The Obamas, for their part, declined to comment, which isn't surprising given their history of rising above such provocations, but it stirred memories of past attacks. What makes this story fascinating is how it exposed fault lines within the world of black conservatism. These are folks who've championed his policies but face a challenge. Take the Black Conservative Federation. They've hosted him at events. They issued a rare critical statement, calling the depiction of black public figures unacceptable. They pointed out that this kind of imagery has historically been used to demean black Americans, and they didn't hold back on criticizing the staffer responsible. But here's the nuance. Even in their rebuke, they reaffirmed their support for Trump's agenda, listing achievements like investments in HBCUs and opportunity zones. And they're not alone. Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, a prominent black conservative, didn't hesitate to call it out on X. He wrote, "Praying it was fake." Trump later told reporters he'd spoken with Scott by phone, explaining it was a staffer mistake. But Scott's public stance shows the pressure even allies feel. Then there's C.J. Pearson, a young black conservative influencer. He told ABC News that the clip was obviously posted in error, insisting there's not a racist bone in Trump. Florida Republican Representative Byron Donalds had his team reach out to the White House. They learned that a staffer had let POTUS down, framing it as a betrayal by underlings. A story of loyalty, principle, and the shadows of history. Thanks for watching DT News. Good night. Imagine this, and Pierre Wilson, a senior leader at Turning Point USA and founder of TPUS Arise, added his voice, saying he wouldn't have shared the video himself, but thinks the reaction is wildly overblown. He described knowing Trump personally as a man with a blunt sense of humor and an equal opportunity approach to satire and criticism. Essentially, trying to humanize the president while acknowledging the misstep. This episode really underscores the complexity for black conservatives in Trump's orbit. On one hand, they credit him with tangible benefits. Economic policies that they say lifted black unemployment to record lows before the pandemic. Criminal justice reforms that addressed long-standing disparities and initiatives aimed at underserved communities. But on the other, moments like this reignite racial tensions, raise questions about whether their support comes at the cost of overlooking insensitivities, and challenge the trust they're trying to build within broader black communities. It's a tightrope walk, especially during Black History Month, when the spotlight is on racial progress and pitfalls. Critics argue that this isn't an isolated incident. Trump's history includes controversial statements on race, from the Central Park Five to comments on Charlottesville, and some see this video as part of a pattern. Defenders, however, point to his actions over words, insisting that policy impacts speak louder. As we delve deeper, let's consider the broader implications for Trump's coalition. Black voters have historically leaned Democratic, but Trump made inroads in 2020, garnering about 12% of the black vote according to exit polls, a small but significant uptick from 2016. Groups like the Black Conservative Federation have been key in that outreach, hosting galas and advisory boards to highlight successes. But incidents like this could erode those gains, making it harder to convince skeptical black Americans that the GOP is a viable home. Diante Johnson, the founder and president of the Black Conservative Federation, who served on Trump's Black Voices for Trump board, represents that bridge-building effort. Trump headlined their gala in February 2024, just before this blew up, which adds an ironic layer, celebrating alliances one month, defending against backlash the next. For many in this space, it's about separating the man from the movement, or the error from the agenda. But is that sustainable? History shows that racial controversies can linger, shaping perceptions long after the post is deleted. Think about how similar depictions have been weaponized in the past. From Jim Crow-era caricatures to more recent online memes, ape imagery has been a staple of anti-black racism, evoking pseudoscientific notions of inferiority. Sharing it, even accidentally, from the presidential platform amplifies it exponentially. The White House's initial dismissal as fake outrage didn't help. It came across as tone-deaf, especially when Levitt tried to reframe it as a Lion King parody. But apes aren't in The Lion King. That's lions, hyenas, and such. So the analogy fell flat. Later admissions of error were a course correction, but the initial response fueled the fire. Now, let's circle back to the reactions from within the conservative fold. The Black Conservative Federation's statement was balanced but firm. They condemned the content outright, called for better judgment, and warned that such carelessness damages trust with black Americans who expect more from public figures. It's a call for accountability without abandoning ship, which might be the smartest play politically. For figures like Pearson and Wilson, the defense is more personal, vouching for Trump's character based on direct interactions. Pearson's line about no racist bone in his body is a common refrain among loyalists, emphasizing intent over impact. But critics would argue that impact matters just as much, if not more, especially when it reinforces harmful stereotypes. Rep. Donald's approach was more behind the scenes, a phone call to the White House, learning it was a staffer issue, and then publicly noting that the staffer let POTUS down. It's a way to express concern without a full-throated rebuke, preserving alliances while acknowledging the problem. Senator Scott's tweet was the most direct criticism from a high-level figure, labeling it the most racist thing from this White House and praying it was fake. His call with Trump afterward suggests lines of communication remain open, but it also highlights the discomfort. Scott, as a trailblazer in the Senate, has his own credibility to protect. This isn't just about one video. It's about the ongoing narrative in American politics where race intersects with partisanship. For Black conservatives, supporting Trump means pushing back against the dominant Democratic hold on Black voters, arguing that conservative principles like free markets, school choice, and law and order benefit everyone. They've pointed to stats. Under Trump, Black poverty rates hit historic lows, home ownership increased, and funding for HBCUs was secured long-term. The Opportunity Zones, part of the 2017 tax bill, aim to spur investment in poor areas, many of which are predominantly Black or minority. The First Step Act, passed in 2018, reduced sentences for nonviolent offenders and addressed crack cocaine disparities that disproportionately affected Black communities. These are the wins they tout to counter narratives of racism. But then comes something like this video, and it forces a reckoning. How do you reconcile policy gains with cultural missteps? Some say it's a distraction engineered by the media. Others see it as a genuine hurdle. The timing during Black History Month amplifies it. February is when schools teach about civil rights, when communities honor figures like Martin Luther King Jr., and when reflection on progress is front and center. Posting racist imagery then feels like a slap in the face. The NAACP's strong condemnation reflects broader Black institutional outrage, and while Trump allies try to isolate it as a staffer error, skeptics wonder about the vetting process. How does something like that slip through? Trump said he looks at thousands of things, fair enough. But in the age of social media, presidents' posts are scrutinized like never before. This incident also shines a light on the role of staffers in the digital age. The White House blamed an erroneous post by one, but who is that person? No names were given, and the administration didn't respond to further requests for comment. It raises questions about oversight. Is there a review process for presidential social media? Trump has always prided himself on direct communication, bypassing traditional channels, but that comes with risks. Remember the Covfefe tweet or other gaffes? This one, though, crosses into harmful territory. For the Obamas, staying silent might be strategic. They've built a post-White House legacy on grace and forward-looking projects, from books to Netflix deals. Commenting could drag them back into the fray. But for Black Americans watching, it's another reminder of persistent racism, even at the top. As we wrap this up, let's think about what's next. Will this lead to internal changes in the White House digital team? Will Black conservative groups demand more sensitivity training or veto power on content? Or will it fade as just another blip in the chaotic Trump era? One thing's clear. It has sparked conversations about representation and trust that could influence voter turnout in future elections. Black conservatives are a growing but still small faction, and retaining their support while attracting more will require navigating these minefields carefully. Thanks for tuning into DT News. We'll keep watching this story and others that shape our world. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you next time. Now, to extend this discussion, let's explore the historical context of such imagery, because understanding the roots helps explain the outrage. Ape depictions of Black people trace back to the era of scientific racism in the 19th century, where pseudoscientists like those influenced by Darwin's theories twisted evolution to claim Black inferiority, likening Africans to apes. This fueled colonialism, slavery justifications, and later, segregation. In the US, it appeared in cartoons, ads, and propaganda during Jim Crow, reinforcing stereotypes. Fast forward to the digital age, and it's revived in memes, often anonymously, but when amplified by power, it's potent. Trump's post, even if accidental, echoes that legacy. Critics link it to his past, birtherism against Obama, calling African nations shithole countries, or equivocating on white supremacists. Defenders say that's media spin, pointing instead to his pardons of Black figures like Alice Johnson or support for boxers like Mike Tyson. But perception matters in politics. Let's also examine the Lion King angle the press secretary tried. The movie is about lions in Africa, with themes of leadership and circle of life. Parodying politicians as characters isn't new. Think Obama as Simba or Trump as Mufasa. But apes? That's not in the film. It's gorillas and Tarzan or something else. The song choice, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, originated from a South African Zulu tune, tokenized in pop culture. In this video, it felt mocking. The abrupt cut to Obama's as apes suggested deliberate racism, not innocent fun. Now, on black conservative responses, the Federation's statement was measured, condemning while pivoting to policies. It's strategic. Maintain influence without alienating bases. Scott's tweet was bolder, perhaps because as a senator, he has independence. Pearson, as an influencer, leans hard loyalist, using hyperbole like more than any president, a claim fact-checkers debate, as Obama also advanced black causes, but Trump's camp highlights specifics. Donalds's quiet inquiry shows pragmatism. He's eyeing higher office. Wilson minimizes, calling overblown, common in conservative media, framing as hypersensitivity. This diversity in reactions shows black conservatism isn't monolithic. Some are cultural warriors, others policy-focused. The episode tests their coalition. Broader GOP implications. Trump leads polls, but alienating minorities hurts. Republicans push colorblindness, but incidents like this undermine. Democrats pounce, using to mobilize black voters. Media role. ABC News broke this, with multiple contributors, Gomez, Murray, etc., showing thorough reporting. They reached Obama's White House allies. In our polarized media, some outlets downplay, others amplify. On social media, X lit up, #trends, memes counter memes. It shows platforms' power and pitfalls. Trump built his brand on Twitter. Now, errors go viral. Staffer anonymity protects, but calls for transparency grow. Could this spur reforms? Unlikely in Trump's style, but possible. For Black History Month, it's ironic. Meant for uplift gets this. Perhaps it sparks deeper dialogues on race and politics. As DT News, we aim to foster that. To fill our time, let's speculate on aftermath. Might Trump address at a rally? He thrives on controversy. Allies might rally round, turning defense into offense against woke critics. Or it fades amid bigger news, like economy or foreign policy. But for affected communities, scars linger. Education key. Teach history to prevent repeats. Schools covering Black history could use this as case study. Finally, viewer thoughts? Comment below. What's your take? Does this change views on Trump? Join the conversation. That's our deep dive. Thanks for watching DT News.